but it's nonetheless a fascinating line of inquiry. If the transactions aren't being denominated in Australian dollars at either end of, you know, that sort of chain of exchange that you've identified for us before, do you have any visibility of it at all?
Senator, yes, at some point. So if you want to buy bitcoins, you would go through an exchange and you would be buying them in Australian dollars.
Why? Could I not buy them in US dollars?
If you're buying, the way our legislation operates, depending on the transaction, it can be a foreign equivalent amount if you're buying it in cash, for example, $10,000 cash in Australian dollars or a foreign denomination to the equivalent. If you're buying through overseas completely, if you've got access to completely overseas accounts using foreign currencies you hold over there, then you wouldn't have visibility.
Right. In response to Senator Boyce before, you said you don't have visibility of the total amount that's being transacted using that currency in particular. Do you have any sense in terms of an order of magnitude?
Not off the top of my head, Senator, sorry.
Do you have a particular unit that watches, I mean, there's only one of these kind of currencies, there's Dogecoin, there's a whole proliferation of these things. Do you have people whose specific expertise is in these forms of online currency?
We certainly have people who have an expertise in these forms of currency. I think if you look at our typologies reports, which we put out each year, there was a recent one which did have a look at electronic currencies, digital currencies,
yeah.
And I've just come back from meetings of the Financial Action Task Force, and that was a major topic there with countries, a great deal of interest, obviously. And there's a group, there's a lot of international interest in this area. Australia is also a founding member of the Egmont Group, which is the international grouping of financial intelligence units. They have a working group at the moment that we're participating in, which is looking at digital currencies on it from an international perspective.
Do you qualify them as posing a particular threat? How big does this loom in your radar?
Interesting, because of the volatility in the market, yep. There's an argument that in fact they're being used more as people are almost gambling on the value rather than using it for transactions.
Yeah.
You'll hear the odd story about a pizza parlour in some part of the world is suddenly using Bitcoin. As we've seen just in the last few weeks, some of the exchanges have been targeted by hackers who have stripped the value out from the holdings, people's holdings. So they haven't, because they're not backed by government, because they're floating in the ether and there's no regulator as such, there's a volatility and exposure there to individuals using them, which is limiting their usage. And of course, the mere fact that there aren't that many sites where you can use them yet. That's not to say that there may be developments in cryptology and a willingness of more businesses to start using them so they do begin to take more of a commercial life. But at this point in time, when you consider all the existing threats that we face from a criminal perspective, they are not top of the list.
We'll have
no, that's fine.
Sorry, we'll have to leave that.